Hello and welcome to Next Witness Week. I'm your host, Jonathan. I hope you're doing well today. So what happens when you're out and about and you discover that a famous Exjw activist is in your neighborhood? Say hello to Robin Jackson.
Hi, folks. Hello, Jonathan. It's good meeting up with you.
Don't sue me, bro.
So, you're visiting Canada for a month or so?
I am, and yeah, it's been good. I needed a break from South Africa. I haven't taken quite a break in a long time. It was time to leave African shores for a while.
I could use a break from my
Yeah.
reality sometimes with work.
No, absolutely. And I thought, what better place to come and explore than Canada? There's a few friends I have over here, and of course, I know Jonathan is over here. And
check out our igloos.
Yeah, so it's nice meeting up with you guys and with you, Jonathan. It was good.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's been good.
So, I understand that you're a big name in South Africa as far as the XJW scene.
Yes, I I was called apostate #1 for quite a while in South Africa. I was.
Were you on a poster?
I think I was on a poster at Bethel, probably. Yeah, persona non grata.
Uh-oh. Stop at the door.
Yeah, I think I was one of the first ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that really came out strong in terms of talking about the organization and the things that were being covered up and that were hidden amongst we all know what those are.
Yeah.
So I was quite vocal in the beginning. I was the lone voice in South Africa for a long time, and it's good to see that there are a few coming out of the woodwork now, getting their voices and adding to the voices worldwide.
Yeah.
Because
I guess if you wanted to do a protest, it's just you out there with a sign, wouldn't it?
Correct. That wouldn't hold me a good stead, right? But yeah, it's good. It's good to see that the momentum is shifting. I think the internet has been YouTube and social media has been a thorn in the organization's side worldwide, and especially in Africa, it's now become people are starting to wake up, which is a good thing.
I've noticed that seems to be a lot of activity associated with Africa. Now, it's a big continent, so I don't know if that's also in South Africa as well. Is it the case?
Yeah, South Africa especially. There's a big awakening happening from the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I must tell you this because I've in recent months I've looked at congregations where I used to associate with, and the numbers are dwindling every day because I made it a point to go to the congregation where I grew up in, and I drove past there just to see what the numbers are like on a Sunday, because Sundays were normally the Watchtower study was normally your big turnout. And I tell you what, it's a trickle. Yeah. People going through that door, getting out of the cars, going to the wall. It's a trickle from what I was used to back in the 80s and the 90s.
And how long have you been out now?
I've been out since officially 2005, so it's quite a while.
Okay. Yeah,
it's quite a while. So yeah, as I said, for a few years, I've been the lone voice, and then it's good to see others picking up the torch as well beside me there in South Africa now, which is a good thing. But as you know too, that coming out of the organization, it's a long journey and process to deprogram and to deconstruct, because of the indoctrination that's so strong. And I still find that I battle with a few things that you gotta. That's not right. That's the Jehovah's Witness way of seeing things.
Yeah. my darling wife is off camera there, cracking a big smile. She knows.
Yeah, deconstruction takes a while.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard even a video too. Someone's like, "Well, you sound like a Jehovah's Witness." I'm like, I just sound like me. I thought, but
Correct.
it's kind of hard to get it out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been meaning to make a video on like triggering words and phrases from the organization.
Oh man.
There's got to be 1,000 of them.
Oh man. Loaded language, as they call it. Yeah, it takes a while.
I think all of us struggle with not saying the truth and the friends.
That's So it's difficult, a lot of people ask me, what's the process like? You've been out for so many years, but still you talk about this. And I say, well, the deconstruction process takes a while, but the reason why we do this as former Jehovah's Witnesses is the activism that we do is to warn others about the organization and similar organizations, because always when we meet people, it's like, oh, but they're such nice people knocking at your door. I said,
they're
yeah,
so nice and so polite.
I said,
just wait until you do something you don't like.
Oh my word.
Not so nice and polite anymore.
Yeah, correct. So it's the behind the scenes that people don't see, and what happens behind the scenes and in the organization itself. So that's why it's important for people like us to keep on speaking out against it.
Because I think that they don't realize they're not telling you what's in the fine print.
Right.
When you don't see that stuff until you're well into the studies.
Right.
In which case you're almost indoctrinated at that point anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say that if the organization told new recruits from the get-go that you're not allowed to have blood transfusions, you're not allowed to speak to your family again that are not Jehovah's Witnesses, or you will get excommunicated in this fellowship if you don't toe the line, you're not allowed to speak out against the governing body, people run a mile.
Yeah.
So of course they won't tell you that, initially. So it's a subtle indoctrination process. And that's how a lot of these organizations work. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a good thing. And just back to the point in terms of Africa and South Africa, I think the African continent now, there's a lot of awakening happening, because I've seen quite a few other XJWs from our countries up north in Africa that are also speaking out, which is good. So the organization, there's definitely a dwindling, and we can see the changes that are coming, because they know, they have to curtail the exodus, because it's a massive exodus currently happening, and they'd like to tell their members that it's not the case, but we all know it's the case.
It's kind of telling that they decided to no longer count time. I don't think they're going to start showing as little information as possible.
Oh, for sure. And that the time issue for me was always a big thing, because one of the questions I had growing up as a Jehovah's Witness was how is my time a measure of the time I spend going out in the house-to-house ministry, how many books I've placed? How is that a measure of my spirituality?
Yeah.
How does that equate to? How do the numbers equate to spirituality?
And Jesus sent them out in twos and said, "Make sure you record everything, and I want to know when you want to break."
Right. So it was those little alarm bells that growing up was. This doesn't make sense to me. Among other things, as I said, I was baptized at 13, and I got my first alarm bell went off 2 years later at a convention. 15 years old.
So even early on, you're just like...
Very early on,
Yeah.
2 years later at the convention, the baptism questions changed.
Right.
Yeah, and I was sitting there in a convention and listening to the baptismal talk and the questions. I thought, hang on, that sounds a little bit different.
Yeah.
You mean Jehovah's Witnesses are now baptized into an organization, and not what the Bible said, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? You mean it's now into an organization? I was like perplexed. But of course,
I thought I was devoting my life to Jehovah God, not to an organization. Weird.
So that was the first alarm bell for me.
Yeah.
But as you know, we were told to suppress those things. We're told to suppress it. Couldn't speak out, question. Otherwise, you've seen as a get hauled into the back room. Um, so yeah, the alarm bells started going off at a very early age, 15, and there were other things that started. Makes sense. But of course, 15, 16, 17, you're told you're not allowed to question the governing body.
Yeah.
Can't even question the elders. You're scared. You're afraid. It's fear. So all of those things get bottled up. They get bottled up, and eventually it reaches a point where you can't ignore those things anymore.
I think the Mormons call it like the shelf.
Yeah.
It's where they have their doubts or they have their concerns. They just put them on a shelf.
Yeah.
Until it breaks.
Yeah.
Because it won't support it anymore. There's
Correct.
only so much you can do.
Correct. So yeah, it was a really interesting journey for me coming out as of the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was a long journey. It was a long journey.
Now, did you have? I didn't ask. Do you have a lot of siblings or?
I was brought up in what they like to call a divided household.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my father and I were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and my two younger sisters never took to the Jehovah's Witness teachings. So they were Congregationalist church members. And it was always a battle for me because, they call it a divided household, but yet we lived together, my siblings, yes, we had different viewpoints, although I tried to convert my siblings, especially my sisters, because I didn't want to see them destroyed at Armageddon, right?
Yeah, naturally.
Right? So it was a to and fro and that, but we never really let that get between us, in terms of their beliefs and what the Jehovah's Witnesses.
So were you sort of the lone JW child of the bunch?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I was. And as I said, grew up in it. And the fear of Armageddon. I didn't want to lose my family, my siblings, my cousins, the broader extended family, because even my friends at school. I was the lone Jehovah's Witness in the class. No birthdays, no. So, but my friends in school were, I saw them as good people. They were, good friends to me. They didn't, and I'm thinking, are these guys going to be destroyed at Armageddon? I don't want that to happen, like,
it kind of makes you think, though. You're not supposed to really associate with worldly people.
Yeah.
Is it because they might influence her, or is it because you might see that they're not terrible people?
Exactly. Good question, eh?
So maybe a little bit of both. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Definitely, they would see that there are good people out there.
Yeah.
Good people out there.
Every group, including the JWs, have some rotten apples.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say, and I think it was the intro to my book. I made it clear in the beginning. I said, I've got no gripe with the people inside the organization because they are good people.
Yeah.
See, my gripe is with the leadership, with those leaders sitting there. At that time, it was Brooklyn, New York, Bethel. Controlling people's lives. And I saw it knowingly because the doctrinal flip-flops for me was, you cannot say that you don't know how this affects people's lives. Yeah. Number one was, one of the main issues for me was the organ transplant flip-flop. Before 1980, organ transplants were banned. And then all of a sudden, 1980, it was okay. So my question is, well, what about all those faithful Jehovah's Witnesses that died because you said they can't have organ transplant? It was seen as cannibalistic.
Yeah.
So those are the type of questions that are.
And I know somewhere, I did know someone back in the 80s that, in fact, my friend Leticia that I grew up with, she was a witness until she was disfellowshipped at 18.
Right.
So we grew up as kids, and her aunt needed a kidney transplant, and that was something that they had to be concerned about at that time. So I don't remember what the timing was. I think she did have it eventually, but I'll have to actually ask her. But yeah, it's something I've seen that firsthand, where it's and the flip flop can affect people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You know, and same with the blood issue, and you know, because I eventually started seeing that this organization has so much blood guilt on their hands. You know, controlling people's lives, their personal lives, and their medical diagnoses.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this is not right. Kids dying, and you know, children losing fathers and mothers. It was all of those things really started hitting me hard in terms of, you know, as I was growing up and questioning in the background and started doing the independent research, not using the organization's publications.
So, of the things that started you down that path of deconstruction, what was the biggest thing for you?
I think the biggest thing for me was the child sexual abuse cover-ups.
Same.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me, because up until then, you know, I had the questions about the baptismal questions and the doctrinal flip-flops. But when I uncovered how deep the rabbit hole goes with child sexual abuse, I totally really thought, wow, this this runs deep, you know. And I always say that I'll never forget the first time I actually uncovered it was I was surfing the net at work, night shift. I worked for Unilever at the time, and I was doing my independent research, you know, and I came across the Dateline program that exposed the cover-ups. And, you know, because now I still had that, should I watch this? You know, should I watch this?
Like, do you give yourself permission to watch it? Yeah.
And I saw this, and you must know, because South Africa didn't get the Dateline program because it was a UK expose.
Right.
So I watched it. So I clicked on it and watched the expose, and that was like, what? This, you know, like, this is really bad.
Was your reaction sort of like, no, they can't be?
Yeah, like firstly, it's like, what? You know, you try to, that cognitive dissonance kicks in, like, nah.
There must be something wrong here. Yeah.
And
sort of out of the frame this whole time. There we go.
And then I started doing some more research in terms of, you know, in terms of the child sexual abuse issue. And then I saw how other Exjws were exposing this whole thing. And I thought, there must be some truth to this, you know. And that to me was a big turning point, because I couldn't support an organization that covers up child sexual abuse and treats the victims you know, the way they did and still do. And that's when I said, this is as far as I go. I can't do this. And that's when I really, because I was still fading at the time, you know. And then the Dateline expose was the big one, and I said, this is it. I will not set foot in the kingdom hall ever again.
Because after a while, there's just so much that you can do, and you're like, no, this is a line too far.
Absolutely. You know, and it was like, and that's how I saw that the organization was more concerned about keeping the organization's name clean instead of what the people are suffering and how they're being treated. So that to me was a real, and not only that, because I had heard rumors in our own congregation at the time.
Oh, really?
Of cover-ups, you know, because there was whisperings in the congregation. And what happened was I worked with an elder as a colleague in one of the companies in South Africa. He told me in confidence, he says he's currently currently battling a story where a fellow elder was,
Ah,
yeah,
that's a bit of a shock, especially with someone you know.
correct, was caught abusing his two daughters. And I think for him too, I don't know, because that also hit him very hard, and how the whole thing was treated, even as an elder. And he eventually left South Africa and moved to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to find out how he was doing, and I heard murmurings that he'd also started fading and left the organization. I think that to him was also a big turning point. So yeah, so in my immediate congregation, there were rumblings, of abuse that was covered up. But that to me was a big turning point, big decider. Yeah,
Fortunately, I didn't encounter anything like that
yeah,
for myself, because it's bad enough seeing from afar, and when it's personal,
right,
that's
yeah,
got to affect you. So I'm glad for that. But when I first started, seeing these things on the internet, there were certain ones where I would see that someone had been abused, and they're the victim in this situation, and they're treated like they're a perpetrator,
right,
like they're, it's partly their fault, so therefore they need to be disfellowshipped. And
yeah.
I'll cut it out.
You should not leave me unsupervised.
Oh my word!
He done.
I can see why.
Oh, this one has worms on it.
They have a place in there where they make their own tortilla chips, and then they make nachos.
Ah,
Can we just eat at the mall?
maybe.
Oh well.
Surfers.
I'm okay to eat mall food.
Yeah.
This is Score. I didn't know they were going to be so good. I got 2.
Nice.
Okay, let me see. Nutella.
Oh wow.
Do you have any dietary
Strawberry.
restrictions?
No,
Okay.
especially when it comes to cakes. There's no dietary restrictions really.
Okay.
And if I have lots, they just don't exist. It's called denial.
Exactly.
Okay, Kit Kat, Nutella, turtle, lemon, something.
Just
I'm
in case
sorry.
they decide to leave this in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys can just start recording again.
There you go.
I think this one's like a cookie and cream, worms and dirt,
Oh,
strawberry
wow.
shortcake. This is salted caramel.
Wonderful.
I told her I'd be back for the rest of them.
Okay, so
Sorry.
trying to get where my train of thought was.
Oh, we were on the child sexual abuse.
Yes, that's
issue.
right.
Oh, that one
Yeah.
was very nice. You guys probably did need a break from that.
Yeah, that's always a.
Who was the first XJW activist that you encountered?
You mean on the internet?
Yeah.
It was years ago. It was. What was this guy's name? Randy Waters. He was
I'm not
big.
familiar with him.
He was big at the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is he no longer active?
He's no longer active.
Okay.
But he was big at the time. And then Bill Bowen. I think Bill Bowen still runs Silent Lambs, which is a activism for child sexual abuse issues.
Okay.
And then I read Crisis of Conscience, was the first book I purchased. Raymond France's book. Because, I stumbled upon Raymond France's book, and I thought, I need to read this. But, it's like, should I? Shouldn't I not?
Yeah.
Because,
I don't know. Should I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually got hold of it. I ordered it and read it then.
Yes, because it can take a while before you give yourself permission to look at the things that you really need to see.
Yeah.
Because you've been programmed so much that it's evil and bad. And,
exactly. It's wow. And we don't realize how strong that indoctrination actually is.
My even saying that reminds me of David Spain saying, but how does it make you feel? Because it's about a feeling. It's about like, oh, I can't talk.
Oh, yeah,
I can't see that.
Exactly. Oh man.
How about, is it accurate? Is it to answer a question that you maybe is in your head and you've been burying it because of that?
you talk about David's plane and the governing body. Recently, with the whole change, the beard and the the relaxing of the beard, brothers can now wear beards and all that. For me, it was it was infuriating to see Mark Sanderson stand up there with a full-grown beard.
It was a weird feeling, yeah?
It was like, you've got the audacity to come and stand up here with your beard, saying now brothers can wear beards, and knowing full well how brothers were treated.
Yeah.
With just a little bit of stubble before. Now
The
you stand
governing
up
body has decided.
Oh man.
Your sisters can now wear slacks. And now everybody wears slacks.
It's infuriating. And you know what was so funny to see? Immediately after the announcement, brothers were posting.
Oh yeah.
With beards, the sisters were posing in their slacks, and I'm thinking,
how did they grow their beard so fast?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not even this, but I have questions.
You can be questions from the audience.
Yeah, it was like sisters were now in the slacks.
Now whoever came off their camping trip for the week,
right?
Like, I got a head start.
Oh man, that was so weird to see.
Maybe the elders that read in advance, and they're like, okay, no need to shave tonight.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it was weird to see because man, they were so proud now. Like, I can wear a beard, I can wear slacks, and it's actually very, very. It angers you because you realize, and I think of Jonestown.
Yeah.
Because the rank and file will just follow
whatever
is being told, and this is a typical example. The governing body has decided, and then they follow. And it's like, this is Jonestown, you just go along with what the governing body says. So if the governing body says tomorrow we'll jump off this cliff, all of us, and you're gonna, don't question.
And it makes you think too, like, okay, look at what they say you can do, and then look in the mirror and say, I am a grown adult. I should be able to decide whether I have facial hair, what kind of clothing I can wear,
right?
Whether I can wear a tie,
right?
It's dumb. There's no biblical reason for it.
None of it.
Simply just toe the line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pause, but you may be a grown adult, but babies are just straight from the devil.
Oh my word.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me started.
Sorry. What do we call them?
Oh,
little
enemies of God.
Enemies of God.
Okay, so speaking of the little enemies of God, I have some cards I wanted to give you. I have these cards that I made up a while back. I haven't been able to give them out. So these are my apostate cards.
Oh, that's cool.
One of them was back when Tony Morris was still there, but this one talks about, until you smell human flesh burning from a helicopter, people that look like a hot dog on a grill. Got that one.
Oh my word! These are
patterned after.
Yeah.
I think it's stand if you can, or something like that.
Oh yes.
So these are patterned after that.
Okay.
At least on the backside. Talking about a doomsday cult.
Oh,
and then this one talks about little enemies of God.
Yeah, I see that. We're not born as friends of God because we're born as sinful offspring of Adam. Actually, if you think about it, we're born as enemies of God. Sometimes you hear people say of a little baby, look at that little angel. But more accurate would be to say, look at that little enemy of God.
Now, if we think about it, we're not born as friends of God because we're born as sinful offspring of Adam. Actually, we think about it, we're born as enemies of God. Sometimes you'll hear people say of a little baby, look at that little angel. But more accurate would be to say, look at that little enemy of God.
That is such a weird stance to take.
That was weird. weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen Lett.
So
These
eventually,
are excuses to drown their babies.
so I figure these are like stickers are more expensive to make. So
Yeah.
business cards you can make pretty easily, and you can just slip them in wherever, or a
Correct.
piece of tape you can put them up.
Yeah, these are cool.
And it's
I love
got
these.
actually the QR code. So if someone sees this, they can. Then I think it takes them to JW Fax.
Oh yes.
Yeah, jwfax.com.
Yeah, Paul Grandy's
So
website.
those are for you.
Oh, thank you.
You can spread them around
That's a nice
the African
gift.
continent.
Yeah, that's a nice gift. Oh, these are cool. I like them.
I had mailed some out to people, but this is a little easier.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to give that many because that cost money on an envelope.
Yeah.
For that many.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
So, I think of another question I wanted to ask.
Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
It's okay. You've given me ideas.
Yeah, you've given
Stop interrupting.
It's quite all right.
you've given us ideas all along,
Yeah.
so
I have
that's
a lot to
okay.
say. I
Yeah.
always leave it there.
Yeah. I think what's with one of the big changes now is that the greeting that you could say now to disfellowship people at the Kingdom Hall. I mean,
I made a video about that, and just the false look of like, so good to see you.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
So like I'm so sincere.
Oh
And
man.
then the wife, she's like, she didn't say a word.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And then the person's sort of smiling like, this was nice. They said hello. And
Gosh.
it's nothing. It's a crumb when you're starving.
And people, brothers and sisters, used to get reprimanded before for saying a greeting to a disfellowship person, even at the Kingdom Hall. Like I remember, of course, the disfellowship people always just sit in the back of the Kingdom Hall, and I remember the one guy that used to come and he was trying to get back in, and I walked past on my way out to check because I was an attendant. Check. I walked past him and he said, and I just gave him a polite greeting, and one of the elders was standing at the back.
Oh.
And he saw me do that. And after the meeting, I was told, you're not allowed
That's
to.
a no-no.
That's a no-no. You're not allowed to greet a disfellowship person. I was like, yeah. A lot of these things, man.
Mind your own business, buddy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's just, when you talk to people, when you tell people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses about all these little rules and things, about not being able to speak to somebody who doesn't believe or was excommunicated, not even saying a greeting, like they can't fathom that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You can't speak to somebody just because he has a different point of view now? It's like, that's not natural, man.
Especially if it's family.
Correct. Especially when it's family. I mean, it's a natural thing, the affection that family members have towards one another. I mean, we have family members that are in different churches and different viewpoints, but we can still be family. We get together at family dinners and get, barbecues, and it's not an issue. So, yeah. The control is just on another level in the organization. But as we say, I think because of the exodus that's happening, they're trying to curb that with relaxing all of these rules. So
make things seem a little normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Far from normal.
But mainstream, trying to go with mainstream. Yeah. Still the same old organization.
Do you think there's anything major that they're going to change, like the blood doctrine, or?
Wow. The blood doctrine is actually, look, they've changed with the blood doctrine. They've changed it in terms of allowing, the different fractions over the years. But doing away with the blood doctrine entirely is going to be
that's tricky.
That's tricky because so many people have
thousands and thousands of lost
so
family members, and
I think
how do you recover from that?
Correct, and I think they know they painted themselves in a corner with that one. Because that's going to be a tricky because can you imagine the lawsuits? You know, I don't know if you can, but
I can
can you
imagine.
imagine the exodus?
They'd have to do some very specific weaselly words,
Yeah,
and really say, you may have lost them now, but you're going to have them soon, any day now. The new system,
yeah,
da da da.
yeah. So the blood doctrine is a tricky one. I think they know that one is a bit is going to be quite tricky to navigate if they want to totally abolish the blood doctrine. I think that's going to stay for a bit.
Do you think birthdays will be something they allow?
Maybe birthdays will
Maybe.
start. Yeah, I think birthdays maybe they'll start allowing because trying to, as you say, trying to look more mainstream. So we might be able to celebrate birthdays.
Because it sounds like when they make these changes, like, and just one day we looked at the scriptures and said, there's nothing about this. So beards are okay. So there's nothing specifically prohibitive about a birthday celebration in the Bible. So
Right.
why not? It's a conscience matter.
Yeah, but we've been telling you that all along.
Yeah.
Governing body, there's nothing about this in the Bible. So
And
yeah,
then two more following updates when people have problems with it and they have to say, well, we don't want to go against the slave, and you may
Yeah.
feel that you were vindicated, but don't want to be that way.
always a little bit of damage control.
Yes.
Yeah, damage control. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's oh man, it's scary actually. How our families have been broken up by this organization. And that to me was a big thing. To see families broken up by an organization, and I always used to say to people, you are following some. Well, it used to be 8 men sitting in New York.
Yeah.
That you've never met, and you believe every word that they tell you. You've never met these people, these men, but you believe, what they say, and you just follow their direction. It's crazy. And what I wanted to say was that I think JW Broadcasting has actually been a thorn in their side too, because
agree.
it's exposed
Yeah.
them as just normal human beings like you and I. Because I remember during growing up when it was in the 80s and they didn't have a website or JW Broadcasting.
Yep.
It was always this, the governing body was always this pie in the sky, mysterious.
Yeah.
Who are these men? We believed what they said they were. And then when JW Broadcasting came along, is that governing body member Stephen Lett?
Yeah, what a weirdo. Yeah, it's sort of like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Pulling back the curtain and finding the wizard is just some old man.
Correct.
Now he's on full display.
Yeah. So I think that's been JW Broadcasting is really, I think, added to the people waking up, in terms of seeing these men as just normal human beings like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see how far that goes.
So, I think we're going to have to wrap it up soon because of our dinner plans. But let's just finish on the thought of, if you had to bet, how much longer do you think the organization has?
Ooh, I think I'd give it another 20 years and they'll be a shadow of their former selves. Look, the organization, I always said the organization is a publishing company masquerading as a religion. And the publishing side has taken a big knock. Because remember, they don't publish
pamphlets
and stuff anymore. Like we used to go out in field service and sell these things. So the publishing side has taken a big knock. So they're more, in my opinion, a corporate investment company now, trying to keep that going.
Trying to be media anyway.
Exactly, trying to be media with JW Broadcasting, and constantly begging for donations and try and keep this going.
Yeah.
But it'll be a shadow of its former self within 20 years, I think. I think it's starting to dwindle, and very fast. I mean, the past few years has seen a massive decline in numbers, although they like to crook the books now and again, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that I trust their numbers.
Yeah, because physically, I mean, what I've seen, that's it. I've been to quite a few of my former kingdom halls, and it's
There's tumbleweeds going through the
exactly for sure. So where are these numbers you're talking about? You know, so I would give it another 20 years in terms of they'll be a shadow of their former selves.
I tend to agree. I think 20, maybe 25 years.
Yeah.
But it could be less unless they come up with a creative solution in 1914.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's math.
So, correct.
Unless they're keeping, you know, one or two anointed like on ice somewhere.
On ice.
Sort of a, you know,
yeah,
ice or what do you call it, a preservation chamber of some kind of ward off the end.
Yeah, I tell you, I think they're going to have a battle keeping up their prophecies, their so-called prophecies, and trying to damage control in terms of, you know, number one, the generation issue. Well, they've changed that because they knew this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
like, come on, generation is
yeah,
about 20 to 30 years. Heard of the baby boomers, and
right?
Generation X and so on. It's not 100 years. Come on.
So,
and then some.
And then some. Absolutely. So, yeah, I think that organization will definitely be a shadow of its former self in 20 years.
Yeah.
There's too much information available.
Yeah.
And as you say, the generation, the millennials and Generation Z or Z, they don't fall for that. No. You know, they.
they're
internet is their source. Yeah.
They're too into their games.
Yeah.
True.
It's true though.
Yeah.
I know. I got lots of kids.
So, yeah, I don't think this generation. Will...
No, I like that you're the voice of reason.
Yeah.
From just off camera. Would you like to join? Okay. Wendy's feeling camera shy.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's okay, Wendy.
She's like, I can turn it. No, okay. So I have one last question. Yeah, there she is.
Right.
I like to ask when I do interviews is if you could talk to your younger self, you know, 13 to 15-year-old Robin, what would you say to him?
Run.
I get that one a lot.
Run.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, I think when at 15, when I had that first alarm bell, I mean, that should have been the, you know, the wake up already, because there were friends of mine who were in the organization at the same time, and we were the same age. And they left 16, 17 because they saw.
Yeah.
So if I could tell 15-year-old Robin, when that first alarm bell hit, you should have ran.
Listen to that bell.
Yeah, listen to that bell and just taken a walk out of there. But it's easier said than done. You know? It's easier said than done. But that creative. I always say I was very creative. That creative Robin, that was suppressed.
I think if I asked myself that, first thing I would say is, "How'd you get so old? Where'd all the gray come from?"
Yeah. So but we've been on our journeys, and you know, we're here now, and we do the best we can.
That's right.
Yeah.
We take care of the people that are important to us,
right?
And value them, and
absolutely,
and try and live your life to the fullest, and
100%.
Not give it any more to an organization.
100%.
That's a cult.
Correct. Look at me. I'm sitting in Canada for a bit.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Perhaps someday you can show me the sights in South Africa.
Absolutely.
Me too. I'm in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I want a pet lion in the backyard.
There you go.
Pet lion.
There you go.
Sounds like paradise, pet lion.
It does.
I want to ride a giraffe. Oh, there you go. Let's go to South Africa.
Yeah, this thing about the paradise pictures, like, you can do that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you waiting?
If you eat them a steak first, they don't even attack you. What the heck is that? That is a bug.
Is that a bug?
Is that a bug?
I've never seen some.
You brought that with you.
No, that's
It's like a mosquito that looks like a zebra or something.
Like
Mixed with a sea anemone.
Like, I think that really was a bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Really weird.
I'm not nuts.
Okay, so I think that's
Sorry.
we'll wrap it up with that one.
Yeah.
So thanks again for coming on the channel and coming to the country.
Thank you.
And
This is good.
thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.